President Trump looking to spend more than $1 trillion on infrastructure, but do we actually have a workforce to back that up? Ivanka Trump and Wilbur Ross both speaking at a White House town hall today, hoping to fix the skills gap and rebrand technical and vocational systems training by ditching the stigma that currently holds, well, at least the elites have against it. Here is MikeroweWORKS from MikeroweWORKS Foundation, who, by the way, is offering more than $500,000 to get people trained in skills that are in demand this year. Mike, I've been trying to get you on the show for a long time. I got giddy there at the Open.
Well, I'm flattered. Thank you. A little giddiness is just what the country needs.
It really is. And I think we should be giddy about the prospects of a manufacturing renaissance, but we should be concerned, and you pinpointed this a long time ago, about the ability to fill these jobs.
It's just math, you know, and I'm not an expert. I don't want to pretend to be one, but we had 300 dirty jobs over the course of 9 years. I shot in every state half a dozen times, and every single employer I talked to, even at the height of the recession, said the same thing. The hardest thing to do is find people who are willing to learn a skill that's actually in demand. I saw help wanted signs literally in every single state in 2009. And ever since, I've been looking at the math and saying to myself, you know, there just has to be another conversation that's going on with regard to the 5.6 million jobs that exist, that the majority of which don't require a college degree, that people, for whatever reason, are just not excited about. So many of those jobs go right to what you're talking about. They're construction, they're manufacturing, they're transportation, and they're sitting there. And if we don't do something about that first and foremost, I'm not really sure how we can have a broader, more sensible conversation about unemployment in general.
Well, Mike, you know, you talk about a conversation. Perhaps we haven't had a conversation. Maybe it's just been, you know, a one-way monologue from the elites on high that have really put a stigma on the notion of working with your hands. And this is something I think, listen, you think about the turn of the century, we tried to bring in that German high school, elementary school, apprenticeship style. And everyone who's 40 years or older remembers something, shop class and things like that. And I think the elites started to look down on it. And as a consequence, everyone started looking down on it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting the way it devolved. And look, I don't think there was some evil genius in the corner twisting his mustache, laughing maniacally at some larger nefarious plan that was unfolding. I think a generation of parents wanted something better for their kids, but we didn't know what better meant. And we did something. We didn't just take shop out of high school. We took art out of vocation. We took the arts out of vocational arts, right? And that set the stage for really presenting an entire category of viable jobs as some kind of consolation prize, a vocational consolation prize. At the same time, in education, something similar was going on. College was getting a big PR push, but that push was coming at the expense of trade schools, two-year schools, and all these other alternative forms of education. So we free up a ton of money to lend to kids who are 17 years old, who have no idea what they want to do with the rest of their life, and we tell them that the best path for the most people is the most expensive path.
Right. And consequently, we have $1.3 trillion in debt, college debt. Here's the interesting thing, to a point that you were making. And the Federal Reserve in New York State do this monthly report with manufacturers, and they slipped in a supplemental question. I was blown away by the response. There's a massive skills mismatch, 68%. For 2 years ago, it was only 45%. And the mismatch has to do with the ability to work with machines and tools, and only 12% of those jobs need a college degree. To me, that speaks a wide opening for so many people sitting on their sofa right now wondering what the heck they're going to do with their life.
There's a difference. To be fair, there's a difference between workforce development, job development, and a liberal arts degree. I got a liberal arts degree. I wouldn't trade it. It served me well. But in 1984, when the bill came due, I owed about $12,000 for 4.5 years of school. My exact same education today costs a little north of $80,000. So we just can't keep having the same conversation about whether college is good or not. Of course it's good. The question is it worth it? And if you have any kind of fiscal sense about your own personal economy, the math isn't that complicated. There are a host of skills that can be fast-tracked. We've put probably 200 welders through our training program, and many of them are making north of six figures right now. And, Charles, you wouldn't believe how difficult it is to give away $600,000 under the imprimatur of work ethic. I mean, that in and of itself, and that's why I wanted to come on your show. I do this every year. We've raised close to $4 million, and giving it away is a nightmare because I ask people to make a video and submit references and write an essay and sign the SWEAT pledge, which stands for skills and work ethic, are not taboo, by the way. It's just basically an attempt to get people to put a little skin in the game.
Right.
Most scholarships, you know, they focus on academic, they focus on talent, they focus on athleticism. We look for work ethic. We're looking for people who want to learn a skill that's in demand, who will show up early, stay late, and put in the time. And I'm telling you, in many cases, this particular pile of free money is not for you.
Well, I got to tell you, to your point, I've seen where business owners are saying over and over again, someone who's punctual is now considered a skill set. I want to talk about your podcast, the way I heard it. Very popular. Of course, everyone loved you because you're the guy who sort of represented the heart of America, and you're continuing that with the podcast?
Well, look, I've always had a soft spot for Paul Harvey. I can't tell you. He used to do a thing called The Rest of the Story.
Yeah.
And, these biographies wrapped in these mysteries, and it always kept me in the car after I got to wherever I was going because I had to hear him tell me how the story ended. So I'm doing something called The Way I Heard It. It's very similar, but it's love letters to great Americans and entrepreneurs and famous events and really history. I think so much of history winds up being boring, but it doesn't have to be. So we're trying to take a little bite out of that space as well. I don't know anything about podcasting in general, but somebody important just called me and said, "You reached 50 million people last year. You should do it again." So I am.